Hello and welcome to Hacking Pixels. Hacking Pixels covers some of the hottest cybersecurity news from around the internet, along with a twist of retro video game nostalgia. Hacking Pixels is brought to you by Actionable Security, securing small businesses with actionable insights. Actionable Security specializes in cybersecurity services tailored for small businesses such as risk assessments, email hardening, virtual chief information security officer advisory, and a lot more. Go to actionablesec.com for more information. So let's get started with the very first episode of Hacking Pixels. I'm your host, Frank Morano, founder of Actionable Security. Before I founded Actionable Security, I spent over 30 years in the IT and cybersecurity space. For the last several years, I was an associate managing director at one of the largest incident response companies in the world, where I led their risk assessment practice and advised and guided hundreds of companies, both big and small. Prior to that, I was a chief technology officer for a healthcare organization here in New Jersey, and I also served as their chief information security officer. I bring a lot of experience to the table that I leverage to help small businesses every day. Enough about me. Let's talk a little bit about this podcast. As I said, Hacking Pixels brings you some of the hottest cybersecurity news from around the internet. We'll highlight 3 to 4 stories each episode. We'll also touch on technology, small business, and anything else that piques my interest. To keep things fun and upbeat, we'll also be highlighting video games from back in the good old days. We're talking NES, Game Boy, Super Nintendo, TurboGrafx 16, Genesis, Neo Geo, and a lot more. Since this is the very first episode, there's a pretty good chance that we'll change things as we evolve. We're also going to try a lot of things and see what sticks. My hope is to make this a fun way to keep up with the ever changing threat landscape. So let's get to it. Our first story: DeepSeek exposes database with over 1 million chat records. DeepSeek, the Chinese AI startup known for its DeepSeek R1 LLM model, has publicly exposed 2 databases containing sensitive user and operational information. The unsecured instances reportedly held over 1 million log entries containing user chat history in plain text form, API keys, backend details, and operational metadata. Basically, there were 2 publicly accessible databases that allowed anyone to run SQL queries via a web interface without requiring any authentication. An attacker could retrieve sensitive logs and actual plain text chat messages, but they could also potentially exfiltrate plain text passwords and local files, along with proprietary information directly with these queries. Honestly, in my opinion, who didn't see this coming? Besides the privacy concerns with the company being based in China, the speed at which DeepSeek appeared on the scene should merit some caution. AI is the new toy on the block, and it's evolving quicker than anyone has imagined. I leverage AI in my own business to help with marketing efforts and create funny images, but I'm always cautious on what I am putting into it and make sure I never put anything sensitive into it. Some things to think about as you start your AI journey: have a plan, establish guidelines to ensure AI is being used responsibly and fairly. Also, understand how your data is being used. Is the company training on your data? How is it being stored? Where is it being stored? Also, know your data. Have a data classification plan and avoid inputting any sensitive information when possible. You also want to validate and verify your results. Not everything AI spits out is correct. Just because you ask it a question doesn't mean it has the right answer. And then know your responsibilities. If AI gives you the wrong answer, what are your regulatory ethical responsibilities? Things like that. Lastly, if you're new to AI, stick to something that's proven with some guardrails like Microsoft Copilot. AI is going to transform the way we do things in the coming years. Just be careful when diving into the deep end. On to our next story. Subaru Starlink flaw lets hackers hijack cars in US and Canada. Basically, security researchers discovered a flaw in Subaru's Starlink service that could let attackers track, control, hijack vehicles using just a license plate. The only requirements were previous knowledge of the victim's last name and zip code, email address, phone number, or license plate. All fairly easy information to obtain. Basically, Subaru Starlink's admin portal contained a feature in a password reset process to allow Subaru employees to reset accounts without confirmation. Subaru patched the vulnerability within 24 hours of the researchers' report and stated that it was never exploited by an attacker. As our cars become more intelligent, the number of vulnerabilities and privacy concerns continue to grow. What happens if an attacker starts your car while it's in a garage, or leverages your location information to know when you're away from home, or uses information like your address, emergency contact, email, phone number that's contained in your car's app to attempt to steal your identity? I recently traded in my car and was pretty shocked that I still had access to remote control it weeks after it was sold. And my new car has a feature that lets you track your trips with pinpoint accuracy to get insight into your driving style, performance, gas consumption, efficiency, and more. We're essentially trading our privacy and safety for the latest and greatest tech features. So, how do we better protect ourselves? Here's a few tips. Review the car's privacy settings to limit data collection and sharing settings. Also, ensure strong passwords are used to protect your data. Regularly update the car's software and apps to protect against vulnerabilities and security threats. You also want to disable any unnecessary features. If you don't need to track your trips or remote start your car, don't enable these features. Also, enable multi factor authentication on the car's app and in the car where possible. And then, lastly, wipe your data before selling your car. Don't assume the dealership is going to do this for you. Last story. Apple's latest patch closes 0 day, affecting wide swath of products. Apple released software updates aimed at addressing multiple security vulnerabilities within its products, including a significant 0 day vulnerability. The flaw is with Apple's core media component that manages audio and video playback and is central to many multimedia applications. This vulnerability is currently exploited in the wild, so make sure you install the update as soon as possible. Essentially, malicious applications could exploit this vulnerability to gain unauthorized access to system controls. The software update addresses the vulnerability across a range of devices, including iPhones, iPads, Macs, Apple TVs, Apple Watch, and even the Vision Pro headset, which I'm not sure anyone is using right now. The software update also addresses 28 other vulnerabilities, which seems like a lot, but it's a lot less than the 159 Microsoft patched in January. As software gets more and more complex and the attackers get more and more sophisticated, you start to see more and more vulnerabilities like this in 0 days, especially on platforms that the attackers are targeting, like Windows. I'm an Apple guy. I drank from the Apple Kool-Aid. I have an iPhone, Apple Watch, iPad Pro, Mac Pro, and more. So even with those 28 vulnerabilities, I'm not going anywhere because I feel that they still make some of the best products out there, and they're less likely to be compromised because they have a smaller attack surface than some of their competitors. So how do you protect yourself from something like this? Your best bet is always to stay up to date on your patching for all your devices. If you're a small business, you might want to take a look at Intune for your patching. It's easy to set up, works on just about everything: Macs, iPhones, Android, Windows, and Linux. And you might even own it with your Microsoft 365 subscription. You'll also want to layer that with some kind of managed detection and response solution, preferably using an EDR like CrowdStrike or SentinelOne. Now let's take a break from the serious stuff and talk about something a bit more nostalgic. Our featured retro video game this month is one of my favorites, Ninja Gaiden for the Nintendo Entertainment System. Released in 1989, this game is classic side-scrolling action platformer where you play as the ninja Ryu Hayabusa. With its challenging gameplay and memorable music, Ninja Gaiden has earned a place in the hearts of retro game enthusiasts everywhere. My first exposure to Ninja Gaiden was in the arcade, where the great visuals, ninja flipping action, and Double Dragon style gameplay caught my attention. Ninjas were really big in the 80s. There was the American Ninja movies. Snake Eyes was appearing in the G.I. Joe cartoon every day. And Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was just breaking out of the comics onto TV screens everywhere. With all this, I was swept up in the ninja craze, which is probably why I gravitated towards Ninja Gaiden. About a year after playing it in the arcades, Ninja Gaiden arrived at home under the Christmas tree, along with games like DuckTales, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Robocop, and a few others. My first thoughts after popping it into my Nintendo system was this is different. A ninja was still the main character. Some enemies looked the same, but the sprites were a lot smaller. And it was very different gameplay. It was very fast paced, and there were these amazing cutscenes and catchy music. I remember watching that opening cutscene over and over again, and this new Ninja Gaiden quickly captured my heart. And my other Christmas games quickly gathered dust as I sunk hours upon hours into it. I do remember how hard it was with the respawning enemies and being sent all the way back to the beginning of Act 6 when you were defeated by the final boss, but I really embraced the challenge. I think the sheer amount of time I put in to beat the game is a big reason why it's still one of my favorites. My love for Ninja Gaiden continues to this day. I'm really looking forward to Ninja Gaiden Ragebound, which looks like a 2D continuation of the original NES game, which is due out for modern systems this year. There's also another recently released remaster of the 3D Ninja Gaiden 2 that I've started playing. And there's a brand new 3D entry, Ninja Gaiden 4, coming this fall. So it's starting to feel like the 80s again with ninjas making a comeback. That's all, folks. Thanks for listening. Join us next month. Same bat time, same bat channel. And remember, this episode of Hacking Pixels is brought to you by Actionable Security, your trusted partner in safeguarding small businesses. With decades of experience, Actionable Security offers tailored cybersecurity services such as risk assessments, email hardening, and virtual chief information security officer advisory. For more details on how we can help protect your business, visit actionablesec.com.